CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
The province is planning to inject $8 million on safety improvements to the Malahat, but critics say it's not enough. Improvements planned for this year include widening some sections, extending medians, and adding new lights. Crews recently installed anti-rock slide fencing to the area outside Goldstream Park after massive rocks came down on the highway a few weeks back. The CRD's Traffic Safety Commission argues more needs to be done, and with a growing population, an alternate route should be added.
Better we bring it up now than on the heels of another fatality or long-term closure on the road. And hey, we've got an election coming up this spring, and who knows what the next decade is going to hold. But I would like to think in our long-term future, medium to long-term future, that we do have a second way to get from Greater Victoria up to at least the Shawnigan area.
The Traffic Safety Commission also says there is not enough enforcement on the Malahat, but the RCMP and Integrated Road Safety Unit regularly patrol the highway. In October, 2 teens and a 31-year-old woman were killed after a head-on collision on the Malahat. Last month, the slide that sent rocks down onto the highway also shut it down temporarily while crews cleaned up and installed the fencing. Commuters were grounded in Victoria for most of the day. Freezing weather along the south coast had flights in and out of Victoria's inner harbour tied up at the docks. A combination of freezing rain, a limited ceiling, limited visibility, and cold temperatures prevented the planes from taking off. Passengers waiting in limbo as they didn't know whether the conditions would improve. Those who live on the island say they are used to weather preventing them from traveling this time of year, and for the most part, were understanding.
It's kind of the way of living on Vancouver Island, right? You never know in the winter whether you're going to be able to get off the island or not when you need to.
At the end of the day, we have certain criteria we need to fly to in order to guarantee the safety of a flight, and anything below that criteria is a no-go for us.
All Harbour Air flights between Vancouver Island and the mainland were cancelled today. Helijet was back up in the air by mid-afternoon. A 90-year-old woman is shaken up after a purse was snatched out of her arms Saturday night. Shortly after 9 o'clock, Victoria police were called to the 800 block of View Street. The purse snatcher was last seen running down Blanchard Street, but police weren't able to track him down. The woman was not injured, but officers say she was visibly shaken up. The suspect is described as a young, slim man wearing a gray or tan winter coat with a hood. If you have any information, call Vic PD or Crime Stoppers. A 58-year-old Souk woman is dead after an ATV accident near her home in Otter Point. RCMP say friends began a search for Diane Louise Clark Friday evening when she did not return home from a ride. Clark was found on a trail, and investigators say it appears she lost control of the ATV and it rolled on top of her. The BC Supreme Court has struck down Canada's human smuggling law, saying it is too broad. A BC Supreme Court justice says the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act infringes on charter rights and could lead to prosecution of humanitarian workers. The justice also says that the federal government could fix the problem by rewording the legislation. The decision puts 2 high-profile cases on hold. Each of these cases involves men accused of smuggling Tamil immigrants, or migrants, I should say, into Canada by boat aboard the MV Ocean Lady and MV Sunsea. The federal government says it's reviewing the ruling. Assembly of First Nations National Chief Sean Atleo is taking a break from his duties, saying his doctor ordered him to rest. The break comes at what may be the height of the Idle No More movement. On Friday, Atleo met with Prime Minister Stephen Harper along with other First Nations chiefs. He was harshly criticized for not meeting terms set out by Aboriginal advocates. Atleo says his doctor told him he needs to take time off to rest, but he plans on his recovery being brief. The Vancouver Island Health Authority and Ministry of Environment issued an air quality advisory and burning ban in the Cowichan Valley today. The warning is for people with chronic medical conditions to stay indoors and avoid strenuous exercise, and it's also to prevent people from creating more emissions. The burning restriction is in effect for 3 days within 15 kilometers of Duncan City Hall. Air quality meteorologists say stagnant air in the valley combined with wood-burning emissions can create a high concentration of fine particulates which pollute the air.
And essentially the big sources of fine particulate matter in the area right now that are driving this event, it comes from wood smoke. So what we're trying to do is get people to minimize or reduce the amount of emissions that they're emitting into the valley at this point.
A similar advisory has also been issued for Port Alberni. The Ministry of Environment says an air quality advisory is common for this time of year. They are asking anyone who has a wood-burning stove to avoid using it tonight unless it is emissions certified. To check out the air quality in your community, or for more information, you can visit bcairquality.ca. NDP leader Adrian Dix says the BC Liberal Party is wasting taxpayer money on television ads, and he's launching a petition to shut it down. Dix says the ads are a desperate attempt to hold on to power and are misleading the public on job creation and skills training. The NDP says this is the largest advertising campaign in the province's history at a price tag of more than $15 million. The NDP launched an online petition to stop the television ad campaign.